Starting a podcast, I'm going to show you the best podcast microphones for beginners. Hang on, sorry. You are not supposed to be in the shot yet, one of our microphones. Now, here's the thing. There is no best microphone for everybody. So I'm going to share my 3 favorites, let you actually hear the audio from all 3 so you can compare, and let you know about the pros and cons of each. That way you can choose the best podcast microphone setup for you and your budget by the end of this video. Plus, if you want the best possible sound, I'm going to share 3 really important tips for beginners to get the best sound possible no matter what microphone you choose, so make sure you watch till the end for that. By the way, I want to give a quick shout out to Buzzsprout, my favorite podcast hosting platform, for sponsoring this video. The first one we're going to look at today is the Blue Yeti Nano. So this is actually the microphone that I travel with when we travel. My family travels a lot. It's important to me that my kids know the world is a big, diverse place with a lot of different types of cool people. So I've used this microphone not only for podcasts, but also for YouTube videos and live streams everywhere from a farmhouse in Port Stephens, Australia, to a tiny apartment in Tokyo, Japan. Now, part of what makes this Blue Yeti Nano great and portable is it has a really solid built-in stand. Sometimes microphones, especially beginner microphones, come with a stand, but it's a cheap, flimsy piece of garbage. Some of the things I love about this microphone, it has a button right on the front. You can see it's green, and then I can tap it and it turns red. And that's a built-in mute button. So that way, if you needed to mute it just on the fly because you needed to cough during your recording session, or if you were using it for Zoom calls, that's all built right into the front of the microphone. And then on the back, you'll see another button here, and this changes the pickup pattern. So just real quick basic explanation of that. If you have it on one setting, it's called cardioid, and that essentially means that it will pick up all of the sound coming directly into the front of the microphone, which is what you're going to want for a podcast or for videos. But you can also switch it to omni, which means it'll pick up sound from all around, which you could use if you were, I don't know, wanted to record some of your ambiance. Maybe you're recording outside. Some people have tried to use the omni setting if you had more than one person sharing the same microphone. You're not going to get as good a sound as you would if you actually had 2 separate microphones. But if you were somewhere in a pinch and your dream guest was sitting right there, I imagine it could work for that. This mic should work fine with pretty much any computer just by plugging it in using the USB cable that comes with it. But you should know it does have a USB-A connector, which is an older type that some really new machines don't have. So if that's true for yours, then you'll need to get an adapter. So I just disabled this microphone that I'm using to record this video so that you could hear in real time what the Blue Yeti Nano sounds like. So this is now me talking into the Blue Yeti Nano, and in just a minute, I'll let you hear all 3 of the microphones we're looking back at today, back to back to back. I always find the Blue Yeti Nano for under $100 US, which makes it a great deal for the quality that you're getting. So that's a great, simple, compact option that might work well for you. But what about other microphones, maybe with more features? Let's start by looking at the K688 from FiFine next. So this microphone is from a company I hadn't heard of until the last year or so, but they sent me this one to check out, and I was actually really impressed with how good it sounded, especially considering it's cheaper than the last option. So just like the other one, it should work with any computer just by plugging it in because it also includes a USB cable. But unlike the other one, this one actually has a USB Type-A and a USB Type-C connector for more compatibility without needing an additional adapter. Or if you have a mixer, you can connect it via XLR. I actually have this old mixer, but it weighs like 1,000 pounds. Guess I don't need to go to the gym today now. By the way, XLR is an analog connection that some people say sounds better. Personally, I just don't have the ears for it. It may sound better, but USB has always been perfectly fine for me and my podcasts. Also important to know that it only has a cardioid pickup pattern, which is basically means you need to talk right into it. It doesn't pick up anything around the room, which generally in podcasting is a good thing, but just wanted to make you aware since the last microphone had the ability to switch between patterns. Now, I like that the K688 comes with its own built-in pop filter or windscreen, sometimes they get called, but I also like that it's a very nice, professional-looking microphone if it's going to be in your camera shots a lot. I love that this mic has a built-in shock mount as well, so if you bump your desk a lot, or I don't know, if you live on top of the subway in New York City, you might get better sound because it's not getting shaken all the time. It also has a built-in mute button, which you can just tap to mute and unmute, which is convenient, but depending on how you mount it, for example, I have it on this stand right now, that the indicator is actually on the bottom of the microphone. So if I was using it like this, it would be hard for me to realize it was on mute if it happened to be on mute because there's no visible indication. So if you get this, when you set it up, just find a way to do it so that it's nice and visible so you don't accidentally record a whole podcast episode with it on mute, especially if you use software that doesn't give you like a meter, a VU meter, to show you that it's working. Speaking of stands, the K688 does not come with a stand. This is a desk stand that I had that I put it on for this demonstration. If you decide to get a microphone that needs a stand or you want an arm, I have a whole video about that I'll link up to in the top of this video or in the description for you to watch later on. Now I've got the K688 enabled and connected, and this is what what this microphone sounds like. The K688 retails for under $75 US, but as you can see here, you can often find it cheaper. Oh look, it actually comes in pink and well, it says white. Looks more like a silver there, but maybe it's white in real life. So the K688 is pretty impressive and versatile, especially at that price point. But maybe you want to go one level up and get a little bit more professional, in which case I want you to look at the Shure MV7 Plus. So this is actually the microphone that I use to record most of my content when I'm not traveling, when I'm here at home in my office. And it's one step down from the probably industry standard for podcast microphones that most of the professional podcasters use in the industry. Much like the last one, you can connect it right to your computer using USB or XLR if you want to connect it using a mixer. It also has a built-in pop filter or windscreen that is removable if you want. And without geeking up too much, it's got some really smart software or hardware. Something is built in here that just not only gives it really good sound, but actually the way they describe it is, let me read this so I get it right, for use in imperfect rooms. So this is designed for somebody that's building a podcast studio or space in a home office that wants really high quality audio. Now, another feature this one has, I probably have to turn off the lights for. Alexa, turn off the studio lights. It actually has a bit of a light-up display on the microphone that acts as a VU meter, which looks kind of cool on camera, but only if the room is dark enough so that you can actually see it. Also, it doubles as a mute button, so I can tap it, and it turns red, letting me know my microphone is on mute. The problem is, in a well-lit room or set, I don't always notice that the microphone is on mute. Now, they do have a setting in the software where you can lock it so that that function is disabled, but I swear I've locked it so many times that it always gets disabled. I don't know if it's because they release a software update or what. What's not to love about it? Well, it's definitely at a higher price point than the other two options, which I'll show you here in just a second. And it also does not include an arm or a stand of any kind. So I'll link to some that I love in case you want to pair it with this. And this is what the Shure MV7 Plus sounds like, so you can hear it and compare it to the other two microphones. And as I mentioned, it is at a higher price point. Usually you can find it under $300 US, and it does come in black, or the white one is the one that I got. All right, in just a second, I'll play all three microphones back to back to back so you can compare and see which one you think sounds best. I'm going to give you 3 tips to get better sound no matter which microphone you get. And we'll make our recommendations for the top choice depending on what situation you're in. But just want to give you a heads up, one of the next steps that most people make after choosing their podcast microphone is choosing a podcast hosting tool. If you're not familiar, this is the software where you upload your podcast and they automatically send it out to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere else that you want to have it, all in one step. And the tool that I've found that makes it so easy, and I've been with them for over 2 years now, is called Buzzsprout. I've got a special link you can use in the description of this video where you not only can try it for 90 days for free to get your show up and running, but when you upgrade to a paid plan, you can actually get a $20 credit, again, using the link down in the description. So which one is going to be best for you? Let's listen back to all three. So this is now me talking into the Blue Yeti Nano. Now I've got the K688 enabled and connected, and this is what the Shure MV7 Plus sounds like. Now, depending on the device that you're watching this video on, all three of those may sound exactly the same. So let me give you my specific recommendations. If you want the simplest setup possible where you don't really have to buy anything else, I would definitely go with the Blue Yeti Nano. It has that built-in stand that's nice, solid, and reliable. You can add the optional pop filter if you want for about $8. Now, if you want to go a little bit more professional, but you're still watching your budget, I would recommend the K688. Just remember, you'll have to buy a stand or an arm to put it on. And if you want to go a little bit higher level, I absolutely love my Shure MV7 Plus. Now, I will say this one is not always available in all parts of the world. So if you see the Shure MV7 without the Plus, you don't get the little USB light, but usually you can save a little money on it. We'll link to both of those along with the other two microphones in the description of this video. As promised, 3 tips to get better sound no matter what microphone you buy, but I would love to know right now, which one are you leaning towards? Other people I'm sure would love to hear as well. Let us know down in the comments. Tip number 1, you should know that the closer you are to the microphone, the better the sound quality is going to be. Now, it's kind of a toss-up, right? Because you don't necessarily want it blocking your face if you're doing video, but if you're doing audio, I would get right up on it, not eating it. Essentially, the further away you are, the more room noise and room echo it's potentially going to pick up. Which takes us to tip number 2. Do everything you can to get good sound before you record rather than relying on trying to fix it later. Yes, we have some cool AI tools now that can enhance audio, but they can only do so much if your audio is terrible. So if you've got a big window, put up curtains, put a rug on the floor, anything you can do to reduce echo in the room before you record. And tip number 3, if your audio doesn't come out very well and you don't want to re-record, then yeah, take advantage of some of those tools. Adobe has a tool called called Adobe Podcast Enhance. There's a free version. You can't tweak it much, but it does a pretty good job all on its own. Just look it up. We'll also link to that down in the description of this video. All right, now that you've got your microphone, the next step is to pick out your podcast hosting software. Again, I recommend Buzzsprout. You can use a special link down in the description of this video to get 90 days free and $20 off your first payment. All right, until then, we'll see you next time. Bye.